All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are live back again on the other side of the coin. I mean, I'm nervous. I'm going to have to tell you guys, live chat, I'm just going to be honest with you guys up front. I'm very, very nervous. As you all know, I don't generally get nervous. This is my channel. I don't get nervous. But it's not every day of the week that you get a player's father come to the channel. And I've got the none other Mason Mount's father, Tony Mount here. It is an absolute honor, and I'm so, so blessed to have this person in my channel right here. First of all, Tony, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, Miz. Thank you. And that was some introduction, so thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Look, this isn't even an intro. I feel like I need to do more, but I'm sure I'll find ways throughout the session to praise you as much as I can. But yeah, live chat, thank you so much for joining. Obviously, there'll be more people that will be joining throughout the stream and many that will see down the track. Thank you always for the support. Tony, let's get into this conversation. There's a lot to talk about, and I want to get as much as possible I can out of you. And at the same time, I want to give you some time back to your life as well, because obviously you're taking the time out to spend here and talk to me. First of all, let's talk about the Arsenal loss that we recently have had. And look, I don't want to dwell too much on the match and talk about the reviews and whatnot. That's been done and dusted. We've talked about it with many other people. But I do want to ask you one thing though, Tony. Us fans, and I know you're a fan as well, but then again, you've got different sort of affiliation. Your son's a player. But from a fan's perspective, like myself, it's very natural from us when we see a loss like that. We go and, be very critical about players. We really start harping about, oh, that player should have done this player should have done that. But from your perspective, being a father of a player and a current player, that is, do you sometimes sympathize and see that, I can understand, maybe the fatigue, the mental fatigue side of things. These players do play 2 to 3 games, like every 2 to 3 days they play a game. So do you sometimes sympathize from that point of view that, you can understand, I mean, you're still hurting from the loss, but you can understand maybe why there could be a drop of, the form and whatnot for the particular match?
That's a really tough question because I've got my own opinions. I mean, we're all fans. I'm lucky and fortunate enough to have a son that's playing at that level and playing for Chelsea. So I look at it from both sides of the coin. Me personally, I think I believe I'm a great believer in momentum.
Yeah.
So I know my son, and I know my son wants to play every game. And his body physically and fitness wise is and from what he's built up over the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's prepared to play. When he was in the Championship, he's playing 3 games a week. Very physical games. Last season he was playing every game for Frank, all bar. So I know he wants to play every game. I don't particularly think being left out helps him personally, but everyone has their own opinion. I think it's momentum. As a manager, ex-manager, I'm a great believer in you play your strongest team, and it is about momentum, and you have to fine tweak it. You look at Mason and you treat Mason differently, perhaps to somebody like Aspilicueta and Kante. But, I think the Arsenal game, there was a number of things that weren't right. I don't think the balance was right. I don't think the starting 11 was right for whatever reason. And it's about opinions, don't get me wrong. I'm a great believer in that. And the manager had his own thoughts and had his own opinions. And I have my thoughts and my opinions like a lot of other fans. And you see the starting lineup and, you question whether the preparation was right and the mentality was right. And you're playing Arsenal. They got nothing to play for. It's a London derby. It's a massive game for Arsenal. They want to go for a spoke in a wheel with Chelsea. But saying that, if you look at the 2 games and if you looked and said, well, we're going to come away with 3 points out of those 2 games, that would be expected. But after beating City, you want to go and beat Arsenal at home. And I think mentality fatigue possibly does set in. But I also think your momentum is a great motivator. And for me, You know, I would have stuck with the same team after the Real Madrid game. And if it meant playing the next 6 or 7 games, I would have done it, because I think that's a run into the season. 5 changes followed by another 5 or 6 changes.
Yeah.
Does that suit the team? I don't think it does.
I love how you just said that, because you're thinking just like a fan. When we see the lineups, we look at Armin and ahhing that, why is this person starting? Why didn't we just keep with the previous lineup? As you said, the momentum, when a team has been playing so well against, Real Madrid, that team was brilliant. Then we had more changes as in the Man City game, as you said, but we did well in the Man City game, and then more changes again. But do want to say, I don't know if you saw this, Reece James post-match was also saying that there is that human element that we sometimes miss out. And he was sort of harping on about that, the mental fatigue sometimes kicks in, playing that many matches. I mean, do you sometimes see in the sense from Thomas Tuchel's perspective that there is a lot of games being played and perhaps the rotation is just inevitable? Or do you think, no, these players, they've only got a few more games to play in the season. They have the body capacity to carry on? Or as you said, different players, different thing, because Mace is someone who can play a lot of games, maybe others can't.
I understand what Reece is saying, and there is a mental element to it. But I also think you have to get into the players' heads, Listen, you sit down with them and say, we've got 5 games left to play. We want to win every one of those. There's 5 cup finals. We want to win every game. So, you've got to be on. You've got to prepare properly. You've got to make sure you're sleeping. You've got to make sure you're eating correctly. You've got to make sure your match preparation is spot on. And we're going to go through the barrier and we're going to play those 5 games. And then some of you got the summer off. Some of you will be having a week off ready to go to the Euros. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. Look at the rewards there. So we're all different. Everyone, I'd manage it different, but I'm not at the level that Thomas Tuchel's at. So I think the big thing in the favour of Thomas Tuchel, and the same as Guardiola, they got a massive squad, they got good squad, they got 24, 25 very, very good players. So they're going to use them. Other squads, probably Liverpool, Everton, haven't got the same quality that those two have got. So if Chelsea or Man City never had those qualities sitting on the bench, perhaps they wouldn't make so many changes. But I'm a great believer. I would have sat down with 5 or 6 games to go on and said, look, we got 5, 6 cup finals. Some of you have got to go through them barriers, and by now they know the players, they know the ones. If you sat down with Ben Chilwell, Mason, and said to him, look, we're going to leave you out the Man City game, you happy about that? They wanted to play. If you're going to sit down and say to Werner, and Rudiger, I'm leaving you out of the Arsenal game, they would want to play.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Honestly, I love hearing this. And this is exactly how the fans feel as well. Let's now move. As I said, I don't want to dwell too much about the Arsenal game. It is what it is. It has happened. We move on. We've got 4 games and it's all like cup games at the moment. But before we get into other topics, I do want to ask you about Thomas Tuchel and the impact he's had so far since he's taken over. Obviously, FA Cup final, that's just around the corner in the next 24 hours or so. Champions League final reached, still in the top 4 race. I mean, are you impressed? I mean, how impressed are you with Thomas Tuchel, with where he's taken the particular team around, I think it was 26 January, where I suppose we were dwindling around the 9th or 10th position in Premier League, and it was looking daunting in the Champions League as well. How impressed are you? And did you expect this level of rise from Thomas Tuchel in such a short time?
Within the first 2 days, I wasn't very impressed, and the result against Wolves made me feel that there was nothing that I was going to be impressed about. But without a shadow of a doubt, I've been very impressed with him. I think his man management, what I've heard and what he's done with Mason, and what I've heard of other players, his man management, what he's done with the squad, and what he's done with the team, and the results that he's got, and the fact that they're in 2 cup finals, and they are well in, and it's in their own hands of fighting for a Champions League place is beyond belief, and it's been tremendous. If you look at where the club were and where the team was when he come in and where they are now, he's done a great job. You can't argue about that, and you can argue the fact that Frank might have done the same. Who knows? We'll never know that, but without a doubt, you cannot say that nobody can say that they haven't been impressed with Thomas Tuchel.
No, absolutely. In my opinion, he's done unbelievable. When that announcement happened, I sort of thought, now we can definitely fight for the top four. There's enough games for us to come back, but for us to get to the Champions League final, FA Cup final, the run that we've had, that's something totally, totally unexpected. I just thought that maybe the team is probably not there as yet. Maybe next season is somewhere where we progress. I do want to ask you, I'm pretty sure you've probably spoken to Mason about this. I mean, how does it feel, the prospect of playing in the Champions League? How does he feel? And as a family, what do you guys feel? I mean, 22, Mason Mount, at the age of 22 in the Champions League final, prospect of playing there. I mean, what does that mean for him and also for the family?
Well, it's beyond description, if I'm honest. I mean, for Mason to have been at the club 16 years, from 6 years of age, and then, he's going to be walking out in the Champions League final. I can remember the amount of times over those years I took him to Stamford Bridge, the Champions League games, where he was ball boy, carrying the flag on the pitch, walking alongside Messi, in awe.
Wow.
And standing there, watching him as a ball boy. And even when he wasn't a ball boy, he would always want to go to the Champions League games. And he used to say to me, I love the Champions League anthem, and it makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And now he's going to be standing on the pitch in the final. What can I say? It's just beyond belief. And the family are just blown away. We're blown away, the fact that he's part of that achievement, and to be there at 22 years of age in only his second season in the first team at Chelsea, and only his fourth season in professional football. Players play all their life. I said that to him. Players play all their life and dream of playing in the Champions League final, let alone playing in the Champions League. And you're there at 22, and you've got to suck it all in. You've got to take it all on board. But more importantly, you've got to bloody win it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what Thomas Tuchel has been saying as well in the press conference. And Mason Mount actually said this as well, post Real Madrid game, that it's great that we've made it to the final, but the job's not done yet. If you don't win it, well, no one remembers like a runners-up. Like, how many runners-up do we remember? Do you know what I mean? Everyone remembers the winners. So it's very, very important. Just quickly, I want to ask you, are you going to go to Portugal to watch that match, or are you staying home and watching that?
I'm going. I've got a ticket. I'm going. Yeah, I'll be there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm excited about going to the FA Cup on Saturday, and I'm really super excited about going to the Champions League final. I went to watch Liverpool versus Real Madrid a couple of seasons ago, when Real Madrid won and Gareth Bale scored the overhead kick. And I sat there, and it was an amazing day. It was an amazing game, amazing atmosphere. And I just sat there and thought, I wonder if I'll ever be lucky enough to watch my son play in a Champions League final. And here we are, 3 years later. Is it 3 or 4 years later? Unbelievable.
Yeah, about three years later. Yeah, 3 years later. That's incredible. What a story. I do want to let's talk about Mason now. I'm so nervous. I have all these things in my head I want to ask you, but I'm also conscious about the time as well. But let's talk about Mason Mount. I think it's going to be interesting. I do want to talk about a couple of his traits. He's got some amazing traits. We could be sitting here all day long talking about all the different traits that he has. I do want to talk about two major traits, which is, I feel like, his fighter quality, his energy, his tenacity, and his leadership. They two go together. And there's a whole heap of other traits as well, as we all know, as you know as well. I do want to ask you, is this something that he's sort of developed from a young age, being in the youth team, that fighting quality, the tenacity and the leadership? And does he somewhat get this from the family? Are you someone like that as well, like that fighter quality, that leader quality, or maybe your, Mason's mum, or I don't know, your like any other kids? Where does he get that quality from?
Yeah, I think it's in him. I think, he was born into a family. Myself and my wife's dad, Mason's granddad, was a boxer. He's always been a winner.
Oh, wow.
And even from a young age, he was an amateur boxer and could have turned professional. He's a tough man, and he instilled into Mason, it's about winning and it's about fighting. And I'm the same. I've got a non-league background as a player and as a manager. And Mason, as a small boy, would come to football with me on a Saturday and see me in the dugout, and it was all about winning. And you know, I think it's in him. I mean, you know, as a young lad playing football for school and even in the academy at a very, very young age, you know, Mason, he was good at dribbling. He was always good at passing. He was always scoring goals. And the one thing I always said to him is, you know, you can have all that side to you, but you've got to be able to win the ball. You've got to be able to tackle. You've got to be tenacious. And if you haven't got a ball, go and get it. You've got to have the ball. Without the ball, you can't do anything. And, you know, I always said to him, don't ever lose a tackle. You've got to win tackles. And if you don't win it, go back and win it again, you know. So I think it's instilled in him. And I've got to say, you know, and I've said it before, I've got nothing but high praise for the academy at Chelsea. And he was in there for a long, long time, from 6 years of age. And they developed him. They develop him, and they, you know, day in, day out training every session. But they don't be fooled. It's not. It is about development, but believe me, it's about winning. You know, that academy is all about winning as well as developing, and they want winners. And you know, whether it's on a Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday morning training, it's definitely on a Sunday when they were playing competitively. They produce winners, and you know, Mason was in there from a very, very young age all the way through. So it's in him.
Nah, 100%, 100%. You know, the youth team has been winning everything left, right, and center. And I'm pretty sure you've probably noticed, especially this season. You know, you look at some of our players, and there are a few players that sometimes just easily loses the ball, or you know, just sometimes probably just doesn't show that energy. But Mason, I've seen this season, the way he controls the ball, the way he uses his body. I mean, let's face it, it's not like he's a bulky lad. It's not like he's a Reece James, but he uses his body so well. I barely see him getting beat. Like, you know, he's managed players like Fernandinho recently against Man City, even in Real Madrid. You know, he's done really well against Casemiro. I mean, is that something that he truly works on as well off the field? Like a bit of, I mean, I'm sure they all do gym work, but in terms of the control, to be able to make sure that he doesn't get bundled over by bigger players, is it something that he really focuses on as well?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the moment he stepped up to men's football, you know, I said to him, you can't get knocked off the ball. And I could probably count, I remember probably twice since he started playing men's football for Vitesse, of him being smashed off the ball. It just don't happen. It's happened a couple of times, and I just said, don't let it happen again. And he's working, you know, he's working on his upper body and his strength without getting too bulky. He's got a wiry frame, but he's got a lot of strength. And this season, you know, as he's getting older, you know, that's improving, and he will use his brain. You know, he'll know he's got to get the body in the way, and if they don't win the ball, he'll win a free kick. You know, and he has become a lot stronger. No two ways about that.
No, absolutely. There's one of my mates who comes to this channel, and he's started the new sort of wording towards Mason Mount. The half turn that Mason Mount's been doing in recent times has been absolutely brilliant. So he calls him, you know, the half turn prince. So Mason Mount, the half turn prince. You know, in recent times, Mason's been amazing with those half turns. I do want to talk about now the two different stages of this season, especially Mason under Frank Lampard and Mason under Thomas Tuchel. Let's talk about Mason under Frank Lampard initially. Obviously, we had so many superstar players that came in at the beginning of the season, the likes of Hakim Ziyech, who I'm a massive, massive fan of. You know, I love Hakim Ziyech. Then you got Timo Werner, who's come in, Kai Havertz, and many other players. I mean, what was the outlook? I remember you saying in other podcasts as well, I've heard you, that he wasn't fazed one bit about that. And he sort of said to himself that he'll raise his game and ensure that, you know, he's there. But from your perspective as a father, when you saw these big names coming into Chelsea, what was your initial thoughts? And just, were you at all worried that, is Mace going to miss out here a little bit? Or is Chelsea just going out there and splashing money again? What was the thought process going on from your perspective?
Well, being in and around the academy for 16 years, watching from the side, there's been lots and lots of talent who've come through, who've not made it or been given the opportunity. So that always raised a massive question mark for me at first team level. and we all know, obviously with the transfer ban and Frank coming on board, and people like Tammy, Mace, Reece, Callum being given them opportunities, and Chelsea not being able to sign. To be honest, I questioned whether that would go out the window and Chelsea would go out and buy the players that they're able to buy and spend the money that they're able to spend, and those players would be just cast aside. And it wasn't because I don't think they're not good enough, because I thought they were good enough. But it might be philosophy and mentality that, we're going to bring the players in and the academy boys will just, be pushed to one side, go out on loan again. So I did question it, but I've always questioned that within the club. Mason wasn't having any of it and just said, it will be to the benefit of the team. That was the big thing. He was like, the better players we got at the club, the more trophies we're going to win. And he never bought in. I questioned it because I've always questioned it, and he said no. We're signing quality. Ziyech and Havertz and Werner and Ben Chilwell. These are just quality players coming into this club.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to see that, because if you don't have a strong mentality, you could so easily give in on that kind of stuff. Like all of these superstars coming in with such big price tag, it's very easily you can sort of say, oh, maybe it's better off going to another club. But Mason, it's crazy looking back at the time now under Thomas Tuchel, and we'll talk about a little bit about the initial phase of Thomas Tuchel, but he's been the standout player for me. I'm pretty sure for a lot of the Chelsea fan base as well. Mason Mount has been the out-and-out standard player. I would even go out and even say, and I'm pretty sure majority of the fan base would say that he's probably the Chelsea's player of the season at the moment, with all the goals and assists and whatnot, and all the other things that he does, that he's contributed. But do want to now go just quickly on the Thomas Tuchel when he's taken over. The very first game, Tony, you remember, Mace was not in that particular team. How did Mace react to that? Because he went from playing under Frank Lampard, where he was a regular starter, and then obviously the new gaffer comes in, shakes things up a little bit in the first match. Obviously down the track, now I feel like for Thomas Tuchel, Mason Mount is the MVP. As soon as you start the starting lineup, Mace is probably the very first one in, along with Rudiger, I'd say. But how was the reaction at that point? I'm sure you guys probably would have spoken when he wasn't there in that first match to be able to impress the new manager.
Well, he'd captained the team on the Sunday for Frank, or the Saturday, I can't remember, against Luton in the FA Cup. And they won. So I think he took it quite badly being left out, and he'd been playing well. He'd been playing well. I think the team had been up and down, but he'd had a couple of really, really good games, and I know Frank was over the moon with his performances, because he told him everything changes, new manager comes in. And Mason's mentality was he's got to show him what he's about. He's got to show him who he is. He's got to show him and start again, really. And I think from the moment he come on, for 8 minutes against Wolves, that's where it started. And I know that week in training, it continued. And Mason showed Thomas Tuchel what he's about, and then he picked him, and he's more or less been in the team, apart from being rested for the recent game or whatever, the odd game here and there, FA Cup match or League Cup match, he's played nearly every game. So Mason knew it's a challenge. It's another challenge. It's another part of the development, and it's Mason will always rise to that challenge. So as he rose to the challenge of competition coming into the team, he rise to the challenge of a new manager, and he knew it was a clean slate, and he had to start again. And I think that's exactly what his mentality was. He'll show Thomas Tuchel what he's about.
That's incredible, honestly, and the kind of mentality he showed was just phenomenal. I mean, since Thomas Tuchel has taken over, and I want to get to his best position and whatnot now, the caliber of goals he's been scoring, the assists he's been making, his energy level, the way he presses, the way he counter presses, it's just been unbelievable. It was already at a very good level. I think it's gone to a different level, and that's exactly what you've been saying, that it's all about the mentality and really just focusing on, here we go, let's go again, let's try and train hard and try and impress one more time. And boy, oh boy, has he done that. I do want to talk about his best position now with you, Tony. Obviously, under Frank Lampard, he's played in many different positions. He played sometimes in the wing in the beginning of the season, more or less, whether it's because of injuries and maybe not having players in form. But Frank predominantly used him as an attacking 8, in his 4-3-3 with a lone DM as an attacking 8. Whereas Thomas Tuchel now is using him more as an inside forward, whether it be on the right side or on the left side, more sort of just behind the main striker. Sometimes he even goes in the middle. So basically, he's playing him more further up as opposed to being further back. At times, we've seen him play in the 6-6 area, whether it be with Kante or Jorginho or whoever else. But from your perspective, Tony, where do you see him as being a very dynamic, more dynamic player? Was it the way Frank was using him as an attacking 8, or the way Thomas Tuchel is now sort of playing him more further up, where he's far more involved with goal contributions?
Well, Mason came through a new system at Chelsea, playing in the centre of midfield, right in the centre of a 3-man midfield for Chelsea. But he used to play for England youth in the 10. So, he's come through and developed as an attacking player or as an attacking midfield player, not particularly as a holding player. Although I did watch him play for England on the 21s once as a 6 against Romania in the championships. I've got an open mind, I personally like Mason in the 8. I like him in a midfield 3. I like him in the system that Thomas Tuchel's playing him in now. And I can see why Thomas Tuchel and Gareth Southgate like him in that position. Because if you play 2 in midfield and you play Mason as one of the attacking 3, when you're out of position, Mason will drop in. He'll work into midfield. So he's not a luxury attacking wide player or a luxury number 10. He will do the work. He will get back. He will work in the box. He will defend. And then he will get forward and link up with a centre forward, whether it was Harry Kane, like he did for England against Belgium, or whether it's, with Werner or Kai Havertz or Tammy, he'll work forward with them. So it'll work both. If you're playing 2 in midfield, you've got an extra worker when you're out of possession, and you've got an extra attacker when you're in possession. So, me personally, I like him in the 8. But I understand why Gareth and Thomas like him in one of the attacking 10s or as one of the attacking 3. I don't particularly like him in a 2 in midfield personally. But at the end of the day, Mason will play wherever the manager wants him to play, and he'll listen to what the manager wants, and he'll do what the manager wants. There has been times when I've questioned what his role has been in the game, and I'll say, well, why are you doing that? And he say, because the manager wants me to. That's what the manager's asked me to do, and that's what I'm doing. So, that's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, Thomas Tuchel has played him in one game in 5 positions. He moved him 5 times in one game. And so, never took him off. He moved him and adjusted him, and then said, well, the substitute came on and said, Mace, go into the middle, go onto the left, drop deep, So I think that speaks volumes for Mason's adaptability, really.
Absolutely. And it's almost as if the manager, they don't want him to be substituted. They want him to be there, whether it's playing up front, in the middle, even if it needs to be in defense, you got to be in the team. That's just a testament of the kind of player Mason Mount's turning out to be. As you said, he's so disciplined, he listens. And that's the thing. I think in modern day football, you see a lot of players at times who've got a lot of talent, but sometimes they lack the discipline. They may not listen, or they may not understand exactly what the manager wants from them. But Mason seems to just simply take the information. If that's what you want me to do, I'll go out there and do it 120% of the time. And that's brilliant. And I love 100%. That. Absolutely love that.
And the trust then becomes a part of it,
Exactly. And that's where managers, do you sometimes, I do have to ask you, I did want to hold this back till the end when I wanted to talk about the social media stuff, but I do want to ask you this now. Do you sometimes get frustrated that certain parts of the fan base, I don't think there is that many now. I think he's won over almost entire fan base out there, whether it be Chelsea, whether it be England. But do you sometimes get frustrated that sometimes Mason gets the wrong side of the social media side of the world, when all of these managers seem to pick him in many different positions, at times not always his best position, and it's simply now I get the sense that it's because they rather have him in the team than not have him in the team. Do you sometimes feel that my son does not deserve to be criticized just because a manager wants him in the team?
Well, football is about opinions. Everyone's got their opinion. So what's important is, and Mason has said himself, is there are certain people that their opinions matter to him, and I agree on that. And the most important is his boss, which is his coach, Thomas Tuchel, and Gareth Southgate, and then me further down the pecking order as his dad, and one of his biggest critics. So at the end of the day, it's about opinions. I think if you understand football, if you know the game, and you'll understand what Mason brings, and a lot of pundits, a lot of players, and a lot of managers can't all be wrong. And I think it's they see what he brings to the team, and not all fans do. With all due respect, like Frank come out once and said, he's not full of flicks, he's not full of step overs, and sometimes he's not pretty in the eye, but he's doing a job for the team, and he's definitely doing a job for the manager. And sometimes at his own detriment, because he has got that in the locker. He can step over and he can flick, but at the end of the day, it's what as he says to me, what the gaffer wants.
That's brilliant. That honestly is, I think, as I said, more fans are starting to understand now, Tony, exactly what he brings to the team. Before we always used to just talk about, it's energy, it's the pressing, but I think a lot of fans see a lot more than that now. It's his passing, it's his ability to ghost into the box and go in late and score those goals that he's been doing in recent times. As we've already mentioned, his defensive quality has immensely developed from last season, which was already good, and it's getting better and better. So I think a lot of fans are starting to see that. I do want to ask you now, though, he's scored some really glamorous goals in recent times. Which particular goal really sticks out to you as the one that you said, oh my word, that was a fantastic goal? I think the Liverpool one was a brilliant goal not that long ago. Obviously, Porto, that was a brilliant half turn to score that goal. I believe there was a goal against, was it Sheffield United, where he scored with his left foot? Might have been Sheffield United. But out of all the goals he scored recently, which one really sticks out to you the most, and the one that you felt, wow, that was some finish?
Well, the Porto goal, without a doubt, to the fact he stuck the defender in onto his right side so that he could take the ball on the left and turned him and finish so quick. And we've been talking about that. We've been talking about finishing, taking a shot, getting it off early, rather than get it blocked. So, for me, that one. But I would also couldn't say that without mentioning the Liverpool goal, because I've been talking about him running, taking people in the box. It was a big game. He's gone into the box, driven, and he's got that in his locker. I also like the Real Madrid goal, and the reason I like it is because I've been saying to him, arrive in the box and get across the defender. And that's exactly what he did. When Christian pulled the ball back, he got across the defender and got his foot to it first. So, I love all those three goals. I loved them. Amazing watching score against Real Madrid. I loved them all for the technique on all three individuals, but I'd pick out the Porto goal if I had to pick one.
That Porto goal was sublime. I mean, the fan base just went mental. It was just all over Twitter, social media. I mean, I live in Sydney. I've got a lot of friends here that follow Chelsea, and we were just straight after the match, we called each other and we said to each other, "What a finish!" It was just, it was like a stamp of authority. That kind of finish kind of shatters the opposition. Like, oh man, we've come across a very, very difficult opposition. But yeah, the Liverpool one really sticks out to me as well. The way he sort of cut in and really did Fabinho. I'm pretty sure it was Fabinho, where he cut in on Fabinho. I think he had Trent Alexander-Arnold as well along that side, and he cut in and he zipped in a shot. It's interesting. So you've actually asked him that you need to have that shot a lot quicker. You need to pull the trigger a lot quicker. Is that so? That's something that you've talked about.
Yeah, we talk about every one of his goals, and we talk about, he's got a target, which we talk about at the beginning of the season. I set him a target, and I've been picking up that, sometimes he's taking a little touch too much, or he's taking too much time, or he's rushing. So you've got to get a happy medium, and you've got to. I've said to him, at this level, you get one chance if you're lucky, and you've got to try and finish it. But we've talking about getting the shot off early, especially at that level against that quality of player, because they'll block it.
Yeah.
So I was very pleased with the finish. He took it early and put it in the right place.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Tony, let's now talk a little bit about the FA Cup final that's coming up just around the corner. I'm still hurting from last season, Tony. I felt like we were the favourites in that particular final against Arsenal. Once again, Arsenal, for some reason, they've been doing us in the last. I think they've won the last 3 matches against us. We started that final really well. I believe Christian Pulisic scored and we were on top, and then it all sort of went sideways after that. First of all, I just want to hear from you before we get into this FA Cup. How much did that hurt? Because that would have meant a lot for Frank Lampard and the young team last season. Obviously, he's still young now, but I'm sure you would have spoken to Mace about this. How much did that hurt last season, not winning that FA Cup?
Massively. Yeah, it hurt. Mason was just distraught. He was distraught because he came home with a loser's medal. And Chelsea's not used to coming home with losers' medals when he's played in tournament cup, in finals, no matter what it's, what level it's been at. He was distraught, Frank, and for the team, and the fans, everything. And we were down. We were really, really down about it, but because I think they threw it away. They had the opportunity. Things didn't go right. Christian getting injured, and obviously he was sending off. It just didn't happen, and. I spoke to him this morning, actually, and I said to him, listen, go to one of the cupboards and one of the boxes where there's that loser's medal that you threw in there 12 months ago, dig it out, take a picture of it and send it on the WhatsApp group to every player in the first team and tell them there's no way you're coming home with another one of these tomorrow.
Wow. I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps.
So and I just said, suck it in, remember how you feel, and make sure you do not feel that again. So
Tony, honestly, I'm getting goosebumps. I've been trying to build it up all this, since the Arsenal game. I've been saying it to every sort of show that I've been doing, that I'm already celebrating. That we've won the FA Cup. I just need the guys to go out there and win it now, because I can't handle another loss, because last season we probably should have won it. This season, we have to win the FA Cup. And I'm so glad that you just said this, Tony, to Mason, that get that medal, take a picture, send it to everyone in the WhatsApp group, and let them know that we cannot get that medal again. That's just fantastic. I just need to bring up this super chat before we carry on again. Alex, thank you so much for the super chat. We love your son, Tony, and have to say he sounds very similar to you. So I must say, Tony, you do sound a lot like Mason, which is, it's not that crazy. At the end of the day, it's father and son. So it's very, very natural. Tony, I do want to talk about, obviously, this FA Cup game. It's against Leicester. Leicester, apparently, I think someone commented the other day, they haven't won anything for over 80 years or something like that. Last time they ever won something was 80 years ago. They definitely have never won the FA Cup. They've got a decent team, in the likes of Vardy, and Ian Archer has been playing really well. Obviously, going in, you're going to go to the match. You're going to see it live. Are you at all somewhat sort of concerned about what Leicester can bring into this particular match, or you're very confident that we are going to forget that Arsenal loss? We're going to move in. Thomas Tuchel's just going to gather everyone in again. He's been very, very confident in the press conference, been saying that, look, I'm angry of that performance, but I've learned from it. We'll move on. We'll have our full, proper team. Are you at all sort of concerned from that perspective from Leicester, or you think our team is very much good enough to take them out?
I'm not, I've got no negative thoughts about anything. I'm very positive. Brendan Rodgers is a great coach, so
Yeah.
Chelsea are going to have their work cut out. But Thomas Tuchel is a top coach as well, and he'll be on it. He'll pick the right 11. Everyone's fit, everyone's available, I believe. So, I think they'll go for it. And every player that played in that final last year that takes that pick on Saturday, there's going to be a massive fire in their belly, massive fire. And I know there will be with Mason 100%, because I know he is desperate to win that for the club, the academy, and the fans, let alone himself and the family. So he'll be going for it. And I just think Chelsea will focus on what they're good at and what they're about. And I think for me they'll win it.
Yeah, for me as well. I just want to quickly ask.
I think Leicester may not have won the FA Cup before, but they won the Premier League, so they've won saying in the last 80 years.
Yeah, they've won the Premier League, exactly. I think they were talking about the FA Cup, that they haven't won the FA Cup. Exactly, as you said. Premier League is something, obviously people would say it's far bigger than the FA Cup. But just quickly on this FA Cup, how much would it mean for this particular team as well to get that silverware under the belt, and Thomas Tuchel to get that first silverware as well? And obviously then you've got the Champions League to look forward to, and you can move into the Champions League with that feeling that there's already a silverware in the bag, and you've got that sort of extra sort of, swagger about you. So from that perspective as well, it's pretty big, yeah?
You've just summed it up. That's exactly what I would have said. It's momentum, which I mentioned at the beginning of the show. You win that, you take that into the next game, and then you take that into the next game. And, I think the momentum's important. I think, let's call it swagger, confidence. I think, to a degree, you look at the Arsenal result and how they felt, and maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe that's the kick that everybody in the team, going from the coaches and the coaching staff to the players, needed. And they've got big cup finals coming up. 4 big cup finals. Let's look at the fact that the positivity kicks in and they go and win all 4, and starting on Saturday, as far as I'm concerned.
No, brilliant. Before we go into the social media side of things, I just want to quickly ask you, who would be your front 3? Obviously, Mason starts. For me, Mason starts as well. The other 2 players, who are you going to have up front?
Tammy and Cal. I
love that. Cheeky.
I think he'll go for Werner and Havertz.
Werner and Havertz. Okay, I was going with Werner and Ziyech, but I could definitely see Werner and Havertz as well. I think that combination recently, Werner Havertz, may definitely work, but I've just got a soft spot for Hakim Ziyech. So,
listen, he's class, he's quality, and so's Christian, and they've got 5 players, and I think they'll all be involved at some stage, whether they start or whether they come on, and they're all key, no doubt.
Yeah. 100%. Brent Smith, thank you so much for this super chat. Tony Mason's mentality is so elite for his age. How did you instill that in him, or was that on his own? Come on, you Blues. Thank you for this, Miz. Brent, Tony's kind of mentioned this. I'll let him sort of mention it again, but he's kind of said it earlier on in the show that it's pretty much instilled from the academy days. Isn't that right, Tony?
Yeah, I agree. It is, and we talk about positivity and we talk about winning, the amount of tournaments Mason's played in from 9 years of age, where they instill, you get to the tournament, you get through the qualifiers, you get to the semi-final, you've got to win it, you get to the final, you've got to win it. Mason was 10 years of age, they got to a final in Holland, and the coach at that time, a guy called Frank O'Brien, who still coaches in Chelsea Academy now, walked up to Mason, it was 0-0. I think they were playing Anderlecht. It was 0-0. They went to the penalty shootout, and he walked up to Mason and said, "Mason, you're going to take the penalty. It's the first penalty. It's the most important penalty because you set the tone for this team. Do not miss. We're going to win this tournament, and we're going to take the trophy home." So no pressure on him at 10 years of age, and he scored and they won it. The goalkeeper, Chelsea goalie, got the winning goal, and that's at 10 years of age. So it's instilled in them. They're bred to be winners.
That's brilliant. Honestly. Tony, let's talk about the social media side of things, because I think it's very, very important. There's negatives, there's positives. Let's start with the positives. I've had so many different sort of fans from other clubs in this particular channel, and I don't even bring it up, Tony. I honestly don't even bring it up. They bring it up themselves, and they say Mason Mount is the player that they fear the most. When they look at our team, they say Mason Mount's the particular player that stands out, and we fear him the most. And I always find that very interesting because, and here's the negative part. Initial stages, when Mason was there last season or even earlier in the season, there's some portion of the fan base that say, oh, Mason lacks this or Mason lacks that. Why does he play every game? And there's all of this stuff that floats around in social media. But obviously now there's so much positivity, as I said, with other fan base really praising him. Our fan base, majority, everyone almost now praises him. But what I want to ask you, Tony, is from a parent's point of view and also from Mason's point of view, how does he manage the negativity and obviously the positivity that he's seeing right now? Is it something that you try and interject every now and then and try and sort of help him out with it? Or how does it, because it would be difficult. He's only 22.
He deals with it really well. I mean, it's quite commendable how Mason deals with it. He doesn't read social media. He just thought a long time ago. In fact, it started when he was at Derby, because obviously, that's where it started for all the positivity. And Derby fans loved Mason, but there was always negativity from Nottingham Forest fans, from Leeds United fans. There was always going to be. So he learned very quickly, you can't read it, So the positivity comes from us as a family. It comes from close people around him. It comes from the club and the people that he trusts and believe in. So that's fine. I'm really happy with that. He doesn't need to read positivity. He's a very, very positive boy. He'll ask me my opinion, and I tell him it honestly and straight, and he knows that. So I tell him when I think he's been tremendous, and I also tell him when I don't think he's done enough or he's been at the level that I expect him to be at. So, it works. From a family point of view, it's tough. I'm not going to sit here and say it isn't. For me, it goes above me. It's opinions. I don't sit there and read every post posted by everybody. And for every message of abuse that I get from whether it is a so-called Chelsea fan or whether it's from an opposing fan, I've got to say the positivity that comes through from Chelsea fans, true Chelsea fans, and from other clubs like yourself, from other fans who say to me they'd love to have him, and we'd love it, our club to sign him, and if Chelsea never wanted him, we'd want him at our club. It's tremendous. So that's social media. As I said before, I was a non-league manager for 16 years, so I'm used to abuse. So I know what to expect. It really hurts my wife, and it really hurts my daughters, and my son and my other son. And I tell them, don't read it, because for every good one or every 10 good ones, there's going to be bad ones, because that's just the life we live in. And if no matter if you're in the media spotlight, no matter what industry you're in, whether you're a singer, whether you're a film star, and definitely if you're a footballer, you're going to be open to it.
Yeah, no, so true. And I think it's a message to all of us. I've noticed in recent times as you start getting quite a bit of Twitter following happening, the way I've recently had, in Twitter and also in YouTube as well. As you said, for every 10 or 20, there's one that will say something so scathing, and it really it touches, it gets inside you, and you have to try and sort of get away from it. You have to sort of eradicate it away from your mind. Some can't deal with that. Like in recent times, I've had, just simple opinions, and other fans would come in and really start abusing or throwing names and whatnot. And initially, Tony, it does get to you like, oh, why is one talking like that? Well, what gives them the right to talk to me like that? I'm not talking to them like that. But as you said, I think it's just prudent to just sort of get away and just think that there's other 20 or 10 that are really, really appreciative of what you're doing. Focus on that and forget about the one that's giving you grief.
I can't wait to go to Stamford Bridge next week against Leicester. Me and my wife have got tickets. We're going, and there'll be there'll be Chelsea fans there, and they'll show their appreciation for the players,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Mason will be one of those, and I can't wait.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I can't wait till the fans come back. I think that would be the sign of normality coming back. I do want to end. It's been a fantastic conversation, Tony. Honestly, It's been a brilliant conversation. Live chat. I hope you've been enjoying it. Please smash the like button if you are. Shows that you've been enjoying this particular show and appreciative of Tony being here. And if you haven't followed Tony yet, which is ridiculous, I've got his socials in the description right now. Go and follow him on Twitter. He's as you can see, he's humble. He's so humble, and he connects with a lot of fans out there and interact with as many as he can. So go and follow. Tony, I do want to ask you one last question before we wrap things up here. Obviously, once the season finishes, the Euros will start and the international scene will start. The England scene will begin. How big is it? Because obviously we are all so enthralled and we're so covered by club competition. But how big is it the international level as well for some of these players, especially like Mason Mount as well? I mean, would you say at a certain degree that's the pinnacle of football, international football, and for players like Mason Mount to really thrive in that level as well?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Mason's been involved in the England setup since he was 15 years of age, played at every age group. So he's got the England DNA. He's come through with a number of other players, people like Phil Foden, and lots of them have come through the development, and they've all got the DNA, and they all are very close knit. Mason's really good friends with Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, and James Maddison, all the people that get questioned on who should be in the team and who shouldn't. They're all good friends, and they let me tell you, they desperately want to win for England.
Wow.
So it's very exciting times, and I think if Gareth can get the right balance and the right 11 on the pitch, I think got a great chance.
Brilliant. I can't wait for the Euros to start. Look, I'm not going to disappoint you. I don't actually follow the England national team. As I was, a youngster, I used to follow the German national team. Don't ask me how that happened. I'm from a Bangladesh background. I don't know how I ended up following Germany. I think it was Italia 1990. I don't know if you remember this, Tony. Italia 1990 World Cup. That was my first World Cup as a 5-year-old. And I remember my dad, he'd take me to, just local shops where they would sell photos of the footballers, and I'd collect them and I'd memorize each of their names. And I just ended up having a lot of German players, the cards of those particular team. And I think it was West Germany at that point that won the World Cup against Argentina in the final. Lothar Matthäus, I think, was the scorer. And since then, I've followed Germany. Obviously, now living in Australia. Australia is the other team that I follow very dearly. So, please don't get upset if I don't follow England in the Euros. And if you see any of my tweets that are against it, hopefully you don't get upset.
Yeah. I won't, Miz, and don't get upset when you see some of my tweets when England beat Germany, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely won't see me retweeting those ones. But Tony, honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Just before you go, obviously you're going to be in the FA Cup final. Anything from, obviously, are you involved in any other sort of Chelsea sort of things that we need to, be informed, that we can support you with? Are you anything that we can do from our side? We've got close to 111 people watching, many that are following as well in Twitter. Anything that we can help you out with?
Not that comes to mind, to be honest. I follow a number of Chelsea fans, and there's some really, really good accounts out there that are very supportive of the club and the players, and I love that. And just as it goes about saying, you just need to get behind the team and support the team. And I think everyone's supporting Thomas Tuchel, which is great. And for me personally, it started with Frank. Frank started it, Thomas is carrying on with it, and it's great stuff.
Brilliant. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of this particular show. It's been brilliant. Tony, thank you so much for your time and all the information you've given us. Until next time, everyone, take care.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Miss.